We're standing by to take you to the Canadian Embassy in Washington, but first to Edmonton. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has been taking some questions from reporters and asked about the idea of a referendum on separation.
The timing was it was a week after the election.
And do you think your message yesterday highlighted divisions in this country and weakened Canada's position heading into negotiations today with the U.S.?
I think that Prime Minister Carney has his work cut out for him, as we saw in the opening press conference with the president. And I'm really hopeful that behind closed doors they'll be able to have a meeting of the minds and come out with an agreement to restart the Canada-U.S. Free Trade Agreement negotiations. We know that it's 18 months from now is when it expires. And I think for all of us, it would be a far greater benefit if we were able to get a renegotiation happening sooner. So I'll see. I'm just as hopeful as anyone else that they're able to have a reset on the relationship. I don't think it's any secret that the relationship with the prior Prime Minister was very poor, and I think led to a lot of the challenges that we've had over the last 5 or 6 months. So we'll see if Prime Minister Carney can reset that in the meeting he has today, and I'm hopeful that he can.
Thank you. We have time for a few more questions.
Right, that was Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, speaking just a few moments ago. We are expecting a First Minister's meeting to happen tomorrow, a virtual one, where the premiers will learn a little bit more about, of course, what happened in that meeting and plot perhaps for what comes next.
And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Well, that's Mark Carney speaking during his first face-to-face meeting as Canada's Prime Minister with U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump said the topic of Canada's sovereignty and making it the 51st state would not be discussed during their talks, prompting Carney to reply, quote, "Some things are not for sale." We are expecting to hear more from Mark Carney as he speaks about the talks when he addresses the media at a briefing at the Canadian Embassy here in Washington next hour. Now we're going to take you now to just north of the White House, amid the trees somewhere behind me to Lafayette Square, and that's where we find CBC's Aaron Collins, who's been following this afternoon's meeting very closely. Aaron, didn't take long before Trump referenced the 51st state. What's your take on how Carney handled it?
I think I agree with Premier Danielle Smith there. I mean, the Prime Minister had his work cut out for him today, right? I mean, job one was to just sort of get out of this meeting without creating an international incident, check, right? Have a cordial relationship and lay the groundwork for future talk. So, there was a polite tone set early on. The Prime Minister calling the President a transformational president, the President complimenting the Prime Minister on his recent campaign. So, all this is well and good, but this is a volatile president. It's difficult to know how he's going to react from one sitting and one setting to another. So I think almost as important as what happened today was sort of the tone that was set for future interactions. So I think if we watch that exchange over the 51st state comment again, just sort of with an eye to how Prime Minister Carney's trying to be firm, but also polite. Have a listen.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
So obviously, very firm there, but also the tone set for future discussions. And, as we were hearing from Katie there's going to be more formal discussions, setting the tone for that to be cordial moving forward.
Firm but polite. How Canadian is that, Aaron? Trump said that there wasn't anything Carney could say to convince him to lift the tariffs. Just remind us, what's at stake for Canadian industries here?
Everything. I mean, like it or lump it, this is our number one trading partner, right? I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. More than 80% of the vehicles made in Canada head south. 97% of the crude oil from my part of the country in the west heads south. So, without that trading partner, we're in big trouble. And that's why you hear so much discussion about diversifying markets, getting maybe another pipeline to Tidewater, this kind of stuff. And of course, having future trade with the U.S. also critical. And that's why I think laying the groundwork for more negotiations on trade was essential here. We did hear from the president about where he saw that going. Have a listen, Paul.
We're going to work on some subtle changes, maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well.
Right now, we're doing trade. I don't know what the future holds. These are the kinds of things we're hearing from the president there. I guess we can take from that there will be negotiations. There will be some form of framework for future trade negotiations. But, Paul, I think, bog standard here with this president, not entirely sure what that's going to look like moving forward.
Thank you, Aaron. That's the CBC's Aaron Collins in Lafayette Square here in Washington.